Okay, so it seems like we've got new information on what the upcoming Nintendo Direct, which is rumored for next week, is going to be. Now, I was wrong, at least according to what Nate the Hate and Game Explain are saying. They are talking about this upcoming Nintendo Direct being a Nintendo Direct partner showcase. Now, the partner showcases are not like the typical bigger Nintendo Directs because those don't include Nintendo's biggest first party games. Now, are there sometimes first party games there? Yes, we saw Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, for example. That was at the last partner direct that Nintendo had for the Nintendo Switch 2. But the majority of games at the partner showcases are third-party games. And the last one that we had for the Nintendo Switch 2 wasn't terrible, but it wasn't incredible. And if you look at the track record for partner directs in the Nintendo Switch 1 era, there was really only one that was incredibly good, with the rest just being okay to not so great. So that's where the issue comes with, and why some people are disappointed or upset that this upcoming Nintendo Direct won't be a standard or typical Nintendo Direct with some of the more big first-party games. Now, this doesn't mean that Nintendo isn't going to have big Nintendo Directs throughout the year. They always have big Nintendo Directs. It's just not going to be this one upcoming, but they could have something in March or in April. They're definitely going to have another Direct to reveal bigger first-party games. It's just not going to be this one coming up. But before we get into more of this, because there's a full breakdown of what I think is going to be there, and something that I would say is pretty spectacular if it happens. Trust me, you're going to want to kind of connect all the dots here with me, because I talked about this in a video the other day. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are someone new. We are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 once we hit 150,000 subscribers, and a $50 eShop card at the end of this month. So that's going to be going down very soon here. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment down below, notification bell. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So over on Twitter, Nate the Hate was responding to a Twitter post about someone discussing that Game Explain has stated that it's going to be a partner showcase for the upcoming Nintendo Direct. And Nate the Hate responded on Twitter saying, and he is correct, next week's Direct will be a partner showcase or partner direct showcase. So that once again sent a lot of people into a spiral. Some people overreacting, some people saying disappointed, some people saying it could be good, all sorts and ranges of emotions. Pretty much anytime that a Nintendo Direct partner showcase is revealed, this is the reaction. It's like, why isn't it what I want? Or why isn't it the bigger showcase or the bigger Nintendo Direct? This is the same reaction we've gotten for the last, I would say, 5-6 years, how long they've been doing it. Anytime they announce it, this is essentially what we got here. And yeah, absolutely, it's a little bit disappointing for sure to not get that big Nintendo Direct. I thought they were going to do that, so I was wrong on that one, 100% wrong. I thought they were going to get that because we still need release dates for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. We still need release dates for Splatoon Raiders. We still need to see some other stuff that's coming out. So I thought they'd do one, but I do think that they're probably putting together a bit more when it comes to first party content, and we'll have some stuff for us probably in March or April, or they could do the June Nintendo Direct like they usually do. So we'll see on that one, but I do think that there is going to be a big Nintendo Direct coming down the line as well, because they always are. But let's get into this one right here when it comes to Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. I do think that there is a big difference between what we're going to see on the Nintendo Switch 2 compared to what we saw on the Nintendo Switch 1, considering the Nintendo Switch 2 is a significantly higher spec machine, and there's just going to be better quality third-party games and third-party ports out there. Now, one of the things that I saw a lot of people talking about is, okay, whatever, partner showcase, but hopefully we see games like Metaphor ReFantazio, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Monster Hunter Wilds, Expedition 33, Kingdom Hearts Collection. Looks like Orbitals is going to be there as well. And I do think that they could do the Duskbloods. That is something, despite Nintendo publishing for the most part, that seems like that game can be set up for a prime spot of detailing and showing off and giving us everything that we need to know, at least initially, about this game, or at least a new trailer showing off more gameplay elements to this game, or at least how it operates, how it works, how's the PvP, how's the PvE work, all of that. So I think that the Duskbloods could get a nice showcase here, and that game, I wouldn't say is flying under the radar because From Software fans, and there's been a lot of controversy surrounding it considering it's an exclusive, but I think that game, if it ends up ultimately being incredible, that could be a massive boost to the Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026. So I would say look out for the Duskbloods. Now, I will have an official, I would just say, prediction video once Nintendo officially announces it, because they usually do it the day before. So once they officially announce the Nintendo Direct, I'll have some type of prediction where I break down why in each game, but I do think that having a big, I would say, update would just be really good, and I think that if the game can show off some really cool gameplay, more people will come around to the game about what it can do. Another reason why this Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase could be absolutely crazy, we talked about the WTF game that Reese Kiwi Talks was discussing, and that game could be announced at this upcoming Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. Now, I don't have any other information that I can divulge down at this point, whether it's happening or not, but the timing just seems really close together. He just did this riddle. The Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase was rumored. It's all kind of lining up to where we maybe get that WTF game, which I did a video on it. Make sure you check it out, where it looks like it could be Horizon Zero Dawn or Bloodborne. Now, there were some other titles on there. Halo Combat Evolved, the remake. The riddle overall was about Monster Hunter Wilds. There was also a number of other games like Power World and some other stuff on there, Black Myth Wukong. But what made the most sense was Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition or Bloodborne. But really, Horizon Zero Dawn makes the most sense because there's already a game on there with the Lego Horizon game, and we've already seen that they've been wanting to get Aloy out a bit more when it comes to different types of projects and other things. So I just think that that game makes the most sense. So if they were to announce Horizon Zero Dawn at this Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase, along with a couple other titles that I've discussed here, man, that would be wild. That would make the Partner Showcase worth it because of the shock value of that. But let's see if this WTF game is even at there. But that's one of the reasons why I'm interested in watching this and seeing what they have. Yes, disappointing that it's not that big Nintendo Direct, which I do think is coming, but disappointing that it's not that one. But I do think that there could be some shocking announcements at this showcase. I do also think that if they put out a Kingdom Hearts collection, they finally get those old Kingdom Hearts games remastered on the Nintendo Switch 2, that is an instant dub for such a huge base of people out there. Kingdom Hearts is a very interesting and has a quirky fan base just because the series itself is very convoluted and quirky at times, so I think that kind of mirrors the fan base. But I think that having the games native on the Nintendo Switch 2 would also be something that would light the internet a bit on fire, because people have been wanting to be able to play this on a native portable system, not a Steam Deck or something like that, but an actual real native dedicated portable system, hybrid style, since the Switch 1. People were upset that it was cloud versions on the Switch 1. So if you can get that going native on Switch 2, people would be very excited for that as well. There's always a chance for a game like Expedition 33. Now, I don't know if it's going to show up here. Maybe that'd be more for a bigger Nintendo Direct, because that's a huge announcement. Last year's Jeff Keighley Game of the Winter and won a ton of Game of the Year awards from a variety of different outlets and even content creators and just regular people all over the place. So Expedition 33 is awesome. I think it was also my pretty much Game of the Year as well last year. So for me, at least, this might not show up at this showcase, but that's what these partner directs can do. It is going to be third-party games. They are going to have certain centerpieces and showcases or big reveals of games. I do think that development has caught up a little bit with the Nintendo Switch 2 here, way faster than what we saw with the Nintendo Switch 1, where it took years to get AAA games out on the platform, and when they came out, the quality just was nowhere near as good as even the PlayStation 4 at times, whereas we're getting significantly better quality. So I do think that things are catching up, things are getting better, and we could see at this partner direct that there are some pretty incredible games that are going to be coming around to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, Monster Hunter Wilds is also a game that people have talked about, but I do think that there could be a brand new Monster Hunter game that's built specifically for the Nintendo Switch 2 as well. Now, I don't know if they're going to reveal it here at this, but that's once again the reason why you got to watch these partner showcases, because you just don't know what people are cooking up. And there could be a brand new exclusive game built specifically for the Nintendo Switch 2 based off of them knowing the Switch 1 was a success and anticipating that and starting to develop and build the pipelines for a Switch 2 game. So we just don't know what some of these third-party developers are going to do. But once again, I get the, I would say, skepticism, considering if you just total up all of the partner showcases, they just aren't as good as the regular Nintendo Directs over the years. And it does seem like the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase will be announced next week, so get ready for that. I'll be streaming the show, of course. You'll be able to watch it here live with me. We'll have details and breakdowns, and we'll go over all the games and, of course, predictions and everything. So what games do you guys think could be or show up at this Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase, or what games would you like to see? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, so moving on to the next topic here, let's discuss a little bit of a snafu that happened with the Nintendo Classic GameCube for Nintendo Switch 2. So recently there was an image that came out from Walmart that showed that Pikmin 3 and Metroid Prime 2 are going to be part of the Nintendo Switch Online with the expansion pack for the GameCube, which is exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes to GameCube games. And some people are like, wait a minute, hold up. They haven't announced Pikmin 2 and Metroid Prime 2. So what's happening here? And this was an official ad by Walmart. It looks all official and it has all this stuff. And now Nintendo has come out and said, wait a minute, not so fast. That is not correct. So in the statement here, here's what they had to say. I think it was issued to IGN. Nintendo Everything also caught the beat on this one here. So it says, we recently provided a retailer with an image of Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo Classic titles that incorrectly included games that are not planned for release at this time. The image has been removed and we apologize for any confusion. So that is a little bit of a loaded statement. And I hope I'm not over analyzing here, but I did used to work in a little bit of PR and business and everything. And sometimes, especially with a company like Nintendo, where you have to be very careful about what you announce and when you announce it and when you release it and how you do things, just because people are super judgmental and just really get out there with stuff. And this one, yeah, there was a bunch of videos. I made a video, people talked about it when it comes to Pikmin 2 and Metroid Prime 2. So people were thinking, oh, well, wait a minute. Since Metroid Prime 2 is going to be on the service here, that means there's not going to be like a remastered version like there was with Metroid Prime Remastered. And I don't know if that's ever going to be a thing. I still feel that they're probably just going to do like a double pack like Pikmin 1 and 2 were on the Nintendo Switch 1. I think they're just going to do that and put it in 1080p, 60 FPS and just like call it a day. But some people now have renewed hope because of this. But here's the thing. When you look at their statement, it says at this time. So what it means as at this time, that means it's just not right now. Doesn't mean it can't be later. And they also said that they provided that with them. So they actually gave it to them. So somebody saw that. It went through the chain of command. It went through higher ups. And there was something there that prompted them to do that. Now, there could just be some type of rogue person or employee that decided to do that. Or it just missed some of the checks as it goes through the stuff before it gets to the retailer. But they said it right here. We recently provided a retailer. So it wasn't like Walmart made that, which some people were trying to say, well, maybe Walmart made that. No. Nintendo made that from their own advertising here in NOA. Once again, mistakes are made. There are times when things are not coming out and it was accidentally put on there. So that is 100% a possibility. However, I do think that there could be some of it saying, okay, well, we have that in the works, but it's just not now. It is going to be much later, or in the initial testing process, or there's something that's going to be happening. But right now, it's not happening at this point. So that's the reason why we're issuing this statement. It's been removed and they apologize for the confusion. So we'll see what happens with it. I still think that it could happen. Metroid Prime 2 is an interesting game. I don't like Metroid Prime 2 a ton, but I know that there's a lot of people who do really like Metroid Prime 2. Pikmin 2 is already available to play on the Nintendo Switch 1 and the Nintendo Switch 2, so if you want to play it, you can. So we'll see what happens here, but I'm looking forward to what Nintendo has in store for NSO this year, especially with the GameCube, because there's a number of different stuff that's rumored and that could happen, but we're just going to have to wait and see if it does. So what do you guys think about Nintendo rescinding this image and what happened here with Walmart? Let me know in the comment section. Okay, and moving on to the next topic, let's discuss this a little bit more, because usually with these game industry surveys, the GDC stuff, Nintendo always has a pretty low percentage of developers, at least here in the West, that are looking to put their games out there, or at least willing to do the survey at least. And this time, it was a lot better than what we usually see. There was a survey of 2,300 game developers, so that's a pretty small portion of most people in the world, and it's GDC, so you don't have a lot of the Japanese game industry there, so just keep that in mind. It is a small sample size, but we saw that with the Nintendo Switch 2, the intention or what platform interests them the most when it comes to development, Nintendo Switch 2 is at 39%. That pretty much matches the Steam Deck and the PlayStation 5 at 40%. And of course, PC, the highest number at 80, because pretty much everything's on PC, but it's nearly double what the Xbox Series is at 20%. So this is one of the very few times that we've ever seen a Nintendo platform actually surpass and match PlayStation or Xbox in any type of way. So that ties back to what I said earlier when it comes to the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase and what could be happening. Now, the thing with this is that if you have a higher interest, if you have better sales, I think that that can, of course, lead to a bunch of new games being revealed, a bunch of new games being in development. It's just very important. So whenever people ask me, OJ, why do you talk about the sales the way that you do? I think it's definitely good to be informed, because that's going to dictate what happens. If the Switch 2 is selling like trash, trust me, the interest wouldn't be at the PlayStation 5 level. There'd be no way. It'd be lower than the Xbox Series. And one of the reasons why the Xbox Series interest is so low is because the sales are low and game sales are low on Xbox Series, because the system sales are low. So that's why it's important. In order to get all the third-party games that you want or you'd like to see, there's got to be a certain level of sales. So people need to at least be aware of how a platform is performing so you can understand when certain things happen or not. Want to know why Xbox Series isn't getting a lot of AA or smaller Japanese games? Well, because the Xbox Series sells like absolute garbage in Japan when it comes down to that, and a lot of games that are Japanese titles do not sell their best on Xbox platforms. So that's the reason why. So it's okay to know that information at least. So it's just good to see this. I think it's going to lead to more games throughout the generation, and I do think that with the decline of Xbox Series, it looks like developers want to kind of prop up some of the other platforms like the Nintendo Switch 2, and of course PlayStation and PC are always going to be pretty much the mains when it comes to game development. So what do you guys think about everything that we talked about here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.